Welcome to Canadian Innovators, the show that celebrates innovation, entrepreneurs, and the Canadian spirit. I'm Jocelyn Bamford, back from Virginia. Thank you to my guest hosts who have kept the show running in my absence. Every week, we introduce a new entrepreneur or expert in the economy to tell their stories and unpack the challenges of keeping jobs in Canada, as well as share ideas for economic growth and prosperity. Today on the program, we welcome back journalist and friend of the program, Anthony Furey, who also filled in as one of the co hosts on the program during my absence. We're going to unpack the recent federal election and discuss the impact on the Canadian economy and the complete turn of events from the fall time when it looked like a conservative win under Pierre Poilievre was a sure thing and a federal liberal defeat was inevitable. Welcome back to the program, Anthony.
Hey, Jocelyn, always good to be here.
So, Anthony, you've run for office. In your opinion, what the heck happened with the Conservative Party?
Oh, geez. Well, I guess Mark Carney happened, and to use a phrase from British politics from 100 years ago, events, events happened. That old chestnut there. That who would have guessed if we were speaking a year ago and we said, "What's going to happen with Justin Trudeau?" I had always surmised that he was going to cling on to power until the last possible day, because who would ever give up being leader of a G7 nation? Particularly someone like Mr. Trudeau, who has a very strong ideology that he likes to advocate for, regardless of what the polls say. But I guess the liberal backroom did get to him, and a lot of pressures got to him, and he said, "Fine, I'm going to wrap it up." He had asked Mark Carney to serve as a cabinet minister, to become an MP, to be in on the fold, and Mark Carney kept saying no. And apparently, his sense was, I'm only going to join if I can get the top job on day one. And whatever you think of Carney, hats off to him. He pulled it off. He came in, he did the great switcheroo. He became prime minister and, of course, won the election as well, not just the liberal leadership. And the entire strategy for the Conservative Party had been hinged on comparing and contrasting Justin Trudeau to Pierre Poilievre, and to do a look at Justin Trudeau's record and to capitalize on the fact that after 10 years, people had had enough of Justin Trudeau. Rightfully so. Now, a lot of us had been saying that the things that were problematic about Trudeau in 2025 were the same things he was doing in the previous election, the one before that, and even in 2015. But I think it took the general public and the middle class voter about a decade to see these policies in action and to realize how harmful they had been to the Canadian economy and different parts of the Canadian firmament, to our institutions. But be that as it may, 10 years in, that's the approach people took. And they said, we're tired of Justin Trudeau. And the Conservatives didn't really switch their strategy. Their main approach was to say, well, Carney's just the same as Trudeau. And I suppose that worked to a degree, in that the Conservatives did do very well with the popular vote, and they certainly got more seats than last time around. But the voters weren't 100% buying it. A lot of people saw Mark Carney as someone new, as a breath of fresh air. And a lot of the frustrations with Trudeau weren't just policy ones, but personality ones. I think people were just sick of seeing this person on their television for the past 10 years. And to use another well-worn political phrase, they wanted to throw the bums out. The Conservatives did rightly point out that the front bench that Carney had is just the same as Justin Trudeau's, many of the leading cabinet ministers, but it was the person at the top that the public wanted to see tossed out. And they did get the sense, rightly or wrongly, that Mark Carney was offering the switch that they wanted to see in terms of more seriousness, more gravitas, and more business minded and economic minded. That's why a lot of voters, particularly the baby boomer generation, the middle class voters in a lot of swing ridings and urban areas and suburban areas, that appears to be what they found attractive about Mark Carney. So here's where we're at right now in terms of Pierre Poilievre really losing a great opportunity, but it's hard to say how much of it is his and his team's to blame. Certainly, obviously, conversations need to happen and a postmortem needs to happen, but how much of it was just events flipping a 180 last minute?
Yeah, absolutely. And who would have predicted this would happen? But we're going to take a break in a few minutes, and we're going to come back to this topic more to unpack on the election, what happened. And certainly you see that the Conservative Party really didn't pivot and didn't prepare for the eventuality of Justin Trudeau stepping aside. But there were people that were looking to predicting just that. And we're going to unpack that when we get back for a commercial break. You're watching Canadian Innovators. Stay right there. Don't go away. More with Anthony Furey when we continue.